U.S. National Signing Day. Coach will open with a statement, and then we'll open for questions. Coach?
Today was a solid day. A lot of work being put into today, throughout the season, really throughout last spring, summer, and this season. A lot of effort from our staff, a lot of effort from really our administration, all the way up to the top, to the president. And we were able to sign 18 guys today, future Warhawks today, that we're really excited about. We lost 27 seniors, and we've got 35 juniors coming back, that'll be seniors, and we've got a really good sophomore class, and we feel like our foundation and the team that we coming back, it's got to be about the right pieces. So this December signing period is each piece is critical. And we've got, 4 more that we feel really good about here in the next couple hours that could push us to 22. It's a deal that it's not about the numbers, it's about the right pieces, to fit this team, for 2026. So excited about. There's a lot of effort, a lot of work put into these guys. Thought our staff did a great job. We've been able to fit right at 18, feeling like it's going to be around 22, we hope, by the end of the day. And some key pieces, in that first signing period. And everything with the NCAA and everything being December the 3rd, that's a new, for college football this year. You're sitting here and your signing day is obviously today, and you've still got guys that are playing. Our last 2 games were on the road, so we had to bring in official visits there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday throughout while we're also, in game week. But with the schedule pushed to December the 3rd, it's hard to get these guys on campus, and you got to find a way. We've got staff members, as soon as the ULL game's over, they're getting rental cars to be able to pick guys up from the airport so we can have official visits the Sunday after, which we were able to get, 2 of those 3 guys. So just a lot of goes into it. We're excited about this group. We're excited about these next 4 weeks because now obviously it's dead up till, January the 1st, and we really can't go back out till the 5th. So, you zero in now on that next February signing class to add those last 18 to 19 players in that February class. So, you're looking at bringing 40 new members overall is our goal to this football program with these 2 signing classes. But overall, really excited. Got the right fits. We feel really strong about the type of kid that's coming into this program, kids that have a purpose for what we're about, a purpose to play here at ULM and to be a part of building this program. And we've been upfront and honest with them about everything, and they've come in here and they want that challenge and they want to be a part of that mission. Questions?
You mentioned their purpose and the challenge and everything. What do you look for in guys when you're first, getting them on tape, obviously talent, but just them as a person, everything? What do you look for in those guys that you're bringing in?
The thing that we want is you want the right kind of kids. So what do we mean by that? We want kids that are tough. We want kids that love football, kids that are about the right things. We want guys that, are they a hard worker? Were they captains? How do they treat people? It's the whole, the right kind of kid. When things are tough, who are they? What's their real passion? What do they really want to accomplish? And we talk about what ULM, what is our situation? What are we in here? And what are we trying to do, and what's our mission? Our mission is clear, and it's simple. And it's been the same from day one. We want kids that want to own turning this program around. We want kids that want to own, being a part of the team that gets to that second bowl game in school history and wins the first bowl game in school history. We want kids that believe in winning a championship at ULM, and we've been the same from day one. And these guys, it's not for everybody. It's not. It's for the right ones, and we feel like we've gotten the right ones in this first class. We wanted more quality than quantity. We wanted the right ones, so we were truly expecting to sign around 15 to 18. I think we've got a chance to get to 22 today. Our goal will be around 18 to 20, in that February class. And if they're the right ones, with the 35 seniors that we've got coming back and the 18 sophomores and the amount of experience, that we've got coming back, I think this has a chance to take that next step.
With the way college football's changed, Coach, obviously with the transfer portal, you guys went heavy into junior college. Are you finding players who maybe not would have been at the junior college level years ago, now like those quality guys, man, they wouldn't play JUCO then, they are now just because of the way college football's changed?
Absolutely. The junior college is really changed because you're not seeing high school kids get recruited as much with the portal. So what's happening is there's a lot of high school players that are great high school players out there. They're just not getting the opportunity because those scholarships are going to players in the portal. And high school players are being overlooked. And there's a lot of great ones out there. So you have a lot of qualifiers that are in the junior colleges. And you've got, the state of Mississippi is obviously a great junior college football state. The state of Kansas, Iowa, the state of California is extremely large, and it's hard to cover. And we've been out there. I've had that area for 5 years, and it's hard to get out there, and it's hard to get those guys here a lot of times. But, we want kids that fit this culture, that fit this area, that fit this town and community and stand for what our mission is. And because when you have that and you get that and you got a locker room full of that, then you have an opportunity where everybody's on the same page and everybody owns the mission and everybody wakes up every day, working to achieve that goal.
How crucial has recruiting become in this portion of the year where, rosters every year change so quickly now?
It's changing. College football is obviously changing. There's a big difference in college football right now than this time last year. It is totally changed. You go from, it's the third Wednesday in every December, to now we just signed the first Wednesday and we've still got teams playing in the regular season. This is championship week. There's 4 junior college teams in the playoffs, in the semifinals. They're not done with their season. They're still in class. And it's tough to be able to get guys on visits, especially when your last 2 games are on the road, and they're not in bye weeks. So obviously it's an extreme challenge. But it's what it is. You have to adapt and you have to grow, and you've got to get in the game the way the game's changing. And that's what our staff did. It was, obviously, when you're bringing guys in, when you get back from Texas State at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning and you got official visits showing up that day and their families. And then you're getting through that Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, and then you do it the next week. So, and then you come back immediately after the ULL game to be able to show guys campus and to be able to meet the coaches and to be able to see the town and the community. So it was definitely a challenge. But I think that this staff and our administration did a great job, of pulling together and putting a really good class together.
Going off Sean's question, most of these guys here are from, JUCOs, community colleges, whatever, not a lot of high school kids. Is that, your kind of philosophy, or why so many of those guys instead of, just trying to bring them straight from high school?
I think here's the philosophy that that I have here is we want to sign junior college players and high school players. And the roster changes. Your roster can change because of the portal in one day. And we want to go out and we want to get the right high school players that fit what we need. But we also got to understand those high school players, most of the time, unless you get an Ahmad Hardy, they're going to need a redshirt year. They're going to need a redshirt year and a growth and development year. And you go back to our first signing class when we signed Nate Green and we signed David Applewhite and we signed Ahmad Hardy and we signed Jonathan Bibbs and we signed, Jordan and Jaden Rowe. Those guys are showing up now. They're showing up, but they had to have that year of development. And we're sitting here with 35 seniors. My goal is to have around 30 to 35 seniors every year and 30 to 35 juniors every year. And when you sign the right high school kids and they're those guys that really fit, those guys start showing up that red shirt freshman year and that redshirt sophomore year, those guys, then that's when your roster really gets built, because then you would like to have about 10 to 15 sophomores and the select few freshmen, a Deshaun Ford, so to speak. So we want our freshmen to be guys that we feel like they can come in here and redshirt 1 year and be ready to go.
You've got one quarterback in this class right now, Christian Johnson. What stood out about him to make him the target?
Christian is a guy that, he threw for over 3,000 yards his senior year in Montgomery, Alabama. Then he goes to Hutch Junior College and he wins the national championship. He's in that locker room. He's that leader of that team. I think they were down 3 times in the fourth quarter, and he wheeled them back. And now he's got them right back in the semifinals. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. And playing Saturday night, I think it's at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. He's got his team back in the semifinals. And I think that, winning breeds winning. And we want competitive kids, and we want kids that have been able to have proven they can run that and lead that locker room and win those big games at a high level. I think he's a very humble kid. He's tough. He's rugged. He's a leader. He's been in big moments. And I think that he brings a lot to our quarterback room in this football team.
Well, you brought in Martinez from Neville, the offensive tackle and everything. What do you see from – he's one of the few, that you guys really scouted from this area.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see in the town around here, and why maybe, from the public, like, why are more kids not, staying home? Why don't you guys recruit this area as heavily as maybe people think, with a lack of amount of kids that come in, I guess?
I think the biggest thing is what's the need of the roster. This talent, this area is surrounded with talent, great talent. And it all comes down to roster needs. And it all comes down to, because we'd love to go out and get them all, but is it what we need to win next year? And when you have the opportunities to be able to sign a local kid like a Van Martinez that's from Neville High School, that's tough, and he's athletic, and he's played tackle, he's played guard, he's extremely smart, he cares about this town. This hometown, it means something to him. And he came to camp. We've watched him play. He's got the makeup. He's the right kid for this program. So then you go to a Jeremiah Green, that's another high school kid. He's tough, man, and he's rugged, and he wants to be here, and he's about the right things. And you're looking at Van and Jeremiah are mid-year enrollees. So they'll be here in January. That's another big bonus for those guys to be able to go through spring. And you cannot, have enough young offensive and defensive linemen, in my opinion, that you're growing and developing at all times that are made of the right stuff. So I think that Van is a big deal, and obviously Jeremiah is a big deal in that class, along with Gavin and along with, with Bo. But we've got some really good young guys, and we're not done. We're not done. We've got 19 scholarships still available for this February class. So, but we wanted to be very thorough and strategic and bring the right guys in. We've got a high school receiver that's going to be a mid-year enrollee that I think is really good. He's one of the 4 that we're waiting on.
Do you have any update on your staff changes? Any thought of offensive coordinator bringing in, or to take that load off of you, or what's your thoughts on that?
Kind of where we're at right now is we just got done with the season Saturday night or Saturday evening, and then everything's all about really the players in this building right now, our players that are returning, to be able to sit down, because in today's college football, retention is a big deal. And I think we've got 35 seniors that can play now. And we're excited about these guys coming back, and we're excited about our sophomores and our young freshmen. I'm excited to see Deshaun Ford this spring. I'm excited to see a lot of these guys, but right now our focus has been on our players in-house because college football has changed. And I've been in probably 58 meetings. Today is Wednesday since Monday morning with our players. And throughout late in the night, with these guys that we just signed. And so now we'll finish our returner meetings, I think, around this Thursday afternoon. We've got a big press conference tomorrow. when we finish our players this week and really our team and our recruits, because we're going to battle for about 4 or 5 more today and tonight, then I'll be able to really sit back and really there's obviously I've got to look at this program as a whole, and I've got to look at it and I've got to look in the mirror, and there's always got to be adjustments. There's always things that I feel like we got to improve and we got to make better. So I haven't made any decisions on any of those things yet because I'm trying to really putting our players in this recruiting class as priority. We just have honest meetings. We have what I call end of the season exit meetings. And we just review the year in a whole and really review from the first day they got here to where they're at today. And we're very upfront. We're very honest. We have real meetings. It's a deal where, we're here for our kids and we're here for this mission. And my philosophy is, we want kids that want to be here. We want kids that want to be a part of this mission. We're not begging anybody to come here and fight for what we're fighting for. So if guys don't want to be here, we don't want them here. We want guys that want to be here. And, the conversations that I've had with our players throughout this week has been words like, Coach, this next year we're going to make sure we kick the door down. There's a lot of leadership, returning. There's a lot of really good players returning. And the response has been very positive. The response has been, Coach, we're here. We're going to turn this thing. We're going to flip this thing. It's coming. You talk about all the time. When I've got players in my office that are saying, Coach, for 2 years you've been saying, we've got to become player-driven. We've got to become player-driven. We don't think we've done that. And these are our players, returning players. And when they sit there and say, Coach, we're not going to be player-driven. We're going to be player-owned starting in January. So you're starting to see the things and hear the things that must happen if we're going to take that next step, which we are, because at the end of the day, it does have to be player-owned. It does have to be player-driven because that's the only way.
Do you have O-line and DBs on this list? You said you had 19 or so more scholarships left, for the spring and everything. So what's your, with this class or with this group, and then obviously for the spring group and everything, what do you think was your biggest need that you wanted to fill? Was it the, O-line defensive back group, or, what more spots you guys need, I guess, do you have, from your mind?
No doubt. I think if you sit back and you look at the corner position, I think we've signed 5 corners. So when you lose David Gotze and you lose D'Arco and then you lose Jaron Esther, you lost your three of your most productive corners. So we wanted to go out and create and really build that room back up and sign some guys we felt like that were ready to come in and play and compete. You go to the safety position, we've really added one. We've got a couple more with GJ, that we feel like is going to be a really good player. Inside linebacker, we've got a great inside linebacker room coming back. But we wanted to add. We've got, I call him L.A. Lazare. I think he's leading the nation in tackles. He's leading the state of Texas junior college in tackles. He's a football player. That's another one of the 4 that should be coming in any minute is another really good inside linebacker. So I think our inside linebacking room is going to be really strong, with a Kelby Holmes and with Marcus Ross, with a Cedrian Langston, with a Noah Fleming coming back. I mean, that room's loaded. You sit there and you look at our defensive line. I think we got a chance to have the best defensive line in the conference next year with what we've got coming back and what we've added. We want to add some more depth at safety. We want to add some guys with length that can really come in and affect that safety room. But when you've got a guy like Jabari Tiller and Jalen Foster and Carl Fontroy and Cam Cannon, you've got a really good roster right there coming back. And then when you add a guy like Moses, we've signed some really good players and we feel really good about that side. If you look offensively, you go down and you look at that last game, and you've got Drew Hutchinson, who's playing for Elijah Fisher because Elijah's hurt. We lost Elijah, and we lost 5 offensive linemen. And Drew Hutchinson rises to the occasion, and he's ready. And he comes out and plays, plays a really good game, and then you lose Nate Green in the second half there in the fourth quarter. Damian Botley comes in, who, he ain't played all year, and he comes in and plays. So you've always got to have depth at the offensive line because you can't put those receivers on the O-line. You can put a corner at safety, which we had to do, and a safety at corner, and sometimes a linebacker at D-end, but you just can't make up those O-linemen and D-linemen. So we're going to continue to build our offensive linemen. We lost 3 good ones. We were able to get Reece Steele back because he got hurt game 4. But you look at the tight end position, we lost some really good tight ends. You look at Julian Nixon to Rylan Green to Nate Sullivan to Peyton Todd. That's 4 pretty productive tight ends for us this year. So I think if you go back and you look at Dalen, who we signed, you go back and watch him. Dalen's he's a big time player. He's in my opinion, he's got a chance to be an all-conference player. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He can windmill dunk, and he can really run. So that was a big get. LT, from Hutch Junior College, I think he's one of the top slots in the country. In my opinion, you get to see him play Saturday night. I think he was a big get. We're in a battle for probably 2 or 3 more today. But at the receiver position, we want to add speed. We want to add guys that can come in here and really take the top off. And that was a position that, as the season went, we were young at receiver last year. Nick Trujillo was a sophomore. Jake Godfrey was a sophomore. Jonathan Bibbs, a redshirt freshman. J.P. Coulter is a junior, that we just got in from Mississippi Gulf Coast. Those were the guys that were really, Tyler Griffin was a sophomore. And I think you started to see the development those last couple of games where those guys were making plays. And I thought you could see Aiden Armenta start to come into his own those last couple games. So, running back, Zach Palmer, I thought he had a heck of a year. He had a great year. Dorian Lewis, both of those guys are gone, so we're going to add to the running back room. We're going to build that room back up. We lost Deshaun Ford, week 3 to a broken foot. So we lost him. So, those are the things that you've got to continue to build up each room, and you're looking for specific needs. We've got some really good players coming back. We just want to add some different skill sets to each room.